I'd now like to introduce Sandro Ferrari. Thank you. From WISE, an Italian firm, and he's going to tell us a little about stretchable electrodes. Sandro?
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone for being here. And actually, I'm following you on the presentation of Panaxium because our technology somehow has some similarities. Our vision as a company is actually to be the first to produce neurolids that are soft and conformable, that are stretchable, and are enable mini-invasivity. We currently have a product that is on the market, is on the market in Europe, and is indicated for intraoperative monitoring. And recently, we also received FDA clearance, so soon is to be commercialized also in the United States. But the electrodes we are most focused on, and is what we will present mostly today, is the so-called Heron lead, is a chronic electrode to treat spinal cord stimulation. On the long term, we'd like to really revolutionize all the field of the leads within the medical device sector. Everything started from a technology, and is a technology that allows us to shoot nanoparticles, typically nanoparticles made of noble metals or precious metals, into stretchable substrate. In particular, most often is silicone. And this gives us the possibility to build nanocomposites that are conductive, that are stretchable, and of course are compatible with the application of implantable device. We can do that on any substrate, basically, so arbitrarily thin and soft, and also made of any shape. So the first product, as I was mentioning at the beginning, is our WISE Cortical Strip. Is a strip that is used for monitoring and recording the signal at the surface of the brain, and is indicated for brain resection for brain tumor or epilepsy surgery. We have carried out a clinical trial to prove the safety and efficacy of the device, and as is now CE marked and commercial in Europe, and it has been recently been cleared through FDA, and will start commercialization by the end of the year. So in the movie, you can see what we really mean by being soft and conformable in comparison to what the current state-of-the-art cortical strip are doing. And actually, one of the feedback we received is that with this strip, is you can do things in brain mapping that normally surgeons are not able to do, because you can enter and bend and push the electrodes in areas that are normally not accessible by standard electrodes. But today, I would like to focus more on our Heron lead, that is a product that is addressing chronic pain. I don't have to tell to you what chronic pain is. Basically, is a very large issue, and this also calls for a large potential market. Currently, spinal cord stimulation market is around 3 billion, and still a significant growth rate. And the market is basically occupied by 4 players, which we all know. And the 4 players share pretty much the same market share. The evolution in spinal cord stimulation has been mostly relative to find out new stimulation paradigms, and to address and following the stimulation paradigms, also to modify and change IPG architecture. And in particular, starting from conventional stimulation that is made to deliver relatively low amount of current, more recent stimulation paradigms brought the need to drive more and more current to the spine in order to improve efficacy. And on the other hand, the leads that are used to deliver this remarkable amount of current are mostly unchanged since decades or now. And so our point is to make them more efficient and also improve usability. So high current requirements is when we talk about high current, we mean that it's current that we want to deliver to the nerves and not elsewhere. And delivering high amount of currents is causing a high burden to the patient that needs to recharge the IPG very often, and this is really a discomfort for the patient. And moreover, side effects are always possible. More recently, also closed-loop stimulation has shown remarkable results, actually I would say outstanding results in terms of efficacy, but this also calls for an improved capability for the electrodes to improve the sensing capability. And so we see a strong market opportunity in improving the technology that relates to electrodes for spinal cord stimulation system. So the first point is what we need to do in order to improve. Well, we know that when we deliver current to the spinal cord, most of the current is wasted in regions and areas that are not relevant for having an effective neurostimulation. And so one of the aims is to improve the amount of current that is directed on the nerves. And typically a percutaneous electrode is not focused, is a cylindrical in shape and is spreading its current throughout the entire circumference, so spreading a lot of current in several regions. Whereas the key is to actually focus just on a specific region. But moreover, we want to also bring the lead as close as possible to the dura, possibly having a good adherence to it and being able to focus the stimulus throughout a wide range, because we are not always sure what are the nerves that really needs to be addressed. So the ideal electrodes provides directionality to the current injection. It conforms to the dura mater to minimize the distance of the electrodes from the spine, and should be inserted minimally-invasively or percutaneously, because the large part of pain specialists are not neurosurgeons, so you don't want to ask every time you want to implant a spinal cord stimulation system to have a neurosurgeon to be involved. And finally, it should provide a large coverage over the spine and also allowing current density to be focused on the desired spot. And finally, to be suited for sensing spine signals. And this is where our solution comes from. And so we are introducing our first directional percutaneous multi-column lead that is made to conform to the dura mater. And so we think through this electrode to offer a new competitive leverage to the market of spinal cord stimulation. The principle that we use for addressing mini-invasivity is that we have a lead that is carved into a catheter and could be delivered percutaneously through a mini-invasive procedure, possibly having the catheter as narrow as possible to avoid possible consequences for the patient, and then we have a nitinol spring that opens up once the electrode is delivered, so to guarantee large coverage to the spine and good adhesion to the dura mater and conforming to the dura mater to focus the stimulation inside the CSF. So this is done through thanks to our technology, because one of the things you want to have when you want to bend your electrode inside a a narrow catheter is to have electrodes that can stretch when they are bent and then they relax when they are delivered. So beside the electrode itself, we have developed the entire procedure that that allows the surgeon to enter with the lead into the spine, move it to the direction, and then deploy in position. So far, we have been having 25 key opinion leaders that have used our lead in several sessions of cadaver labs. We have made these electrodes with markers that allow to control the deployment, the positioning, and the rotation of the lead to avoid the insertion to lead to wrong directionality. And as I was saying, that most of the key opinion leaders are pain specialists, so not neurosurgeons, so because they are the largest fraction of the potential users. So we have collected feedback through a number of usability sessions and confirm a number of the advantages that I just was explaining to you. Moreover, another of the problem of the leads is actually lead migration. So we have been done implants into animal for extended period of time, and we have verified that there is no migration over time into the animal. So our strategy is to clear this electrode through FDA, through a 510(k) path, and eventually start the first in human after certification. And on the longer term, then to address multinational to distribute our electrode inside a kit of IPG. We don't plan to do IPG ourselves at this stage. Today, we have finalized the product, and we have carried out a number of feasibility tests. And by the end of this year, we plan to have all manufacturing processes validated and engineering verification to be completed. And we'll start the next year to make a formal design validation test to get FDA clearance in 2025. Currently, we have collected 26 million euro, which is $28 million, plus some money from grants, a significant amount of money from non-dilutive capital. And now we are after a new financial round that will mostly cover what is left for the development of our Heron lead, but also to address market expansion for our cortical electrodes. So as a company, we are like 36 people. We are placed in Italy, and we have a manufacturing facility with a clean room, and we are certified 13485, and now we are preparing for a good manufacturing GMP for commercializing in FDA. And so to wrap up, we would like, our aim is to produce soft and conformable electrodes. We have one that is now on the market, and we are working hard to get the second one cleared by FDA. So, and now we are in a financial round to continue our process of development. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open for any questions.
Okay, let's start with Zoom. Are there anyone on Zoom who has a question? Nobody on Zoom. Okay, and we have one question in the room, and it's Victor.
Right. So once your device unravels in the spinal cord, it's more like a paddle,
Right.
at that point. do you know of any paddle electrodes that have been approved through 510K mechanism?
There is one 510K electrode that was approved, but I think that was back 20 years ago or 25. So FDA since then might have changed their attitude quite significantly. In fact, I must say we already went through two pre-sub through FDA, so we have been already starting discussing with them, and yes, we definitely think it's feasible.
Thank you for that presentation. Have you done any computational modeling or other kind of verification that you can achieve directionality, or that, for example, the charge needed would decrease compared to conventional leads?
Well, we haven't performed personal. Well, we did actually perform some simulation. In fact, there's also a large literature of when you compare energy consumption between paddle leads and percutaneous lead, and it's well demonstrated that paddle leads work like they consume like something like half or even less current than percutaneous lead. Simulation, of course, confirmed that. We are now running simulation specifically on our lead by comparing also the data we get from topography to model the exact model, but we have not yet result on that study.
Okay, other questions for Sandro? Anyone on Zoom? All right, I'll throw one last question at you. And again, hearkening back to our keynote speaker, Helen, who spoke about different approaches for treating psychiatric disorders. And as you know, much of that initial work in deep brain stimulation has been reaching deeper structures. However, more recently, she mentioned the 4C trial, where you're targeting cortical targets. So I'm curious to see your opinion as to what your stretchable cortical electrodes would offer for the field of treating psychiatric disorders such as depression.
Yeah, I was talking about that with Ellen. Our first thought as a company was to focus exclusively on cortical stimulation. I must admit that we didn't feel like we have the force to work for a new indication in that field, having so much technology to develop for our electrodes. So at one point, when you are so much focused on developing a new technology, unless you are a giant, you cannot even focus on new therapies.
Understood.
But yeah, I think that area is really well. Our technology, I think, could be relevant in that area, and I think also Panaxium show how those type of electrodes are potentially highly useful. So we definitely look forward to start working with specialists that could help us. We could provide our knowledge in technology, and they could direct the clinical, addressing the clinical points.
Okay. Are there other indications besides psychiatric indications where you think your particular approach, because of your ability to reach areas of the brain that perhaps other devices can't, that might give you a leg up in that department?
Well, certainly, traditionally, the stroke rehabilitation is another large area, and epilepsy is the other obvious one. Although neuropies did not really make it into that field, and their impact is probably limited so far. But maybe as experience tells, I mean, one experiment does not demonstrate the feasibility or unfeasibility. Sometimes things comes back with better tools and with a more profound comprehension of the phenomena, and so the efficacy can eventually improve.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Sandro.
So